Are we live? Hey guys.
Hello.
Hey everyone.
Hello everyone. I don't think we have anyone yet, but
Nope.
we're live.
We're speaking
We're
it out
here.
into the void. We'll see what comes.
Hello.
Yeah.
Hello.
Come
I just
read
thought
poetry with us.
pop up. It looks like people will be getting on soon.
Sweet.
Okay, cool. Very exciting. Welcome everyone to, well, for those of you watching it, whenever you're watching it, to our Yang Gang Storytime Poetry Edition special broadcast. We have here today, joining myself and Megan, Karina. Should we say just Karina Avellino or?
Karina, that's fine.
Karina and Paul.
Hey everybody, glad to be here.
Yeah. You guys might know them from past story times. You might have interacted with them in the comments. And of course, our most recent Universal Basic Poetry experience was did some takeovers, which was super awesome. Yeah. We have some people here now. Yay!
Hello guys.
Hi.
Say hellos. Awesome. Yo.
What's up?
Okay, Megan, I'm going to hand this over to you. Last time we did this, I got in your way. So
we both get excited about comments, guys.
We're like, ah.
Let's see. We got Aaron. Hello. I read that as hi.
Hi.
And Manny. Hi, Manny.
Hi, Manny.
Hi.
So excited.
Hey, guys.
Okay.
What's up? Hello.
Silver Talent.
Yeah. Manny, we've been looking forward to this too. I think it was Paul who was like, is it tomorrow yet? Can we do this now?
We feel you.
Hello.
Owen. That's awesome to see you here.
That's one of my very favorite, like when people say hi, like, hello friends. That's one of my favorite greetings.
Yeah.
Shane, building a Paw Patrol lookout tower with my kid.
I can relate to that. Yes.
Yeah.
Totally.
Karina, this one's for you.
Oh, thank you. This was inherited from my father-in-law when he passed. But yes, we have lots and lots of books.
That's so sweet.
Love it.
Do your kids like to read a lot?
Oh, yeah. We definitely encourage reading. And I do bedtime stories, not every night, but almost every night. So,
yeah.
Good book readers.
Awesome. Yeah, cool. So great to have everyone here. I guess I'll say it one more time since you're all here. Welcome to Yang Gang Storytime Poets Edition. Woo! Should we all do it together? Woo! Snaps.
Yeah, snaps.
Thank you all so much if you participated in hashtag Universal Basic Poetry, hashtag Post a Poem Challenge. There was 2 hashtags, but the main one was Universal Basic Poetry. And yeah, it was super awesome. I had so much fun. Megan and I, all of us, I think, were like super stoked with the response. Like, how many of you participated and like did 4 to 5 poems? Like, that was awesome.
Yeah, it was really impressive to see how many people posted it. It was crazy. I didn't expect as many people.
Yeah.
People who don't normally write too, like which was really cool.
Yeah. So in the comments, if you did even if you wrote 1 poem, like if you're someone who's like maybe not never, because I think at some point we've all written a poem, like, right? At least in 2nd grade we wrote a poem. But in your adult life or something, in the recent past, had never written a poem and wrote one, or only occasionally wrote a poem and then for a week wrote a poem every day, let us know, or let us know your thoughts. Like, we'll be happy to hear your response, and we're going to talk about that too. So let's all have our formal intros. I'm going to let the guests go first. Could you please say who you are, maybe also kind of where you are-ish and let us know your history with poetry, because for some people who maybe saw your work, they still wouldn't know, like, what's your story there?
Okay.
Karina, would you like to go first? Ladies first.
All right, so a little bit about me. First, I'll start with I'm part Peruvian. I was born and raised in Georgia, but I live in Florida now. I have 3 kids, married, and I have written for as long as I can remember. I really can. Like, I think it was probably 9 when I first started writing poetry, and I just never stopped. Like, I fell in love with writing, and I can't tell you what prompted me to write to begin with. I don't know if it was a teacher or a parent. I don't know the story there, but I just always played with words. And as I got older, I started writing short stories, and I've written a screenplay now that I just recently finished, which is pretty cool.
Hey, you.
Yeah,
that's awesome.
So excited. That's a big feat. Like, it's not easy to start something and then like see it through when you have 3 kids and you are. So I'm gonna give myself credit for that. But I'm also working. I want to finish a novel, but it has been painful. Like, a novel is no joke. I didn't. So I've written my whole life, but I didn't really start taking it, I think, seriously and really pursuing it until my 30s. So, that's my story. I'm a nurse. My background is as a nurse, but I haven't done clinical nursing for a while. So I don't come from like a literature background.
Yeah. Well, specifically to poetry though, when would you say you felt like you really like fell in love with it and like kind of considered yourself maybe a poet, Yeah,
I would say, I remember writing poems, and I kept a book of poems that I still have from when I was starting at like 9, 10. And then just through my teenage years. So it was in that time period between, say, 10 and 15 where I really would say I can write poetry. Yeah.
Wow. Awesome. Cool. And then Paul, go ahead.
Yeah. Hey, Engage Book Club. I'm Paul Andrighetti. I live in Wisconsin, Minnesota area. We call it Wisconsin, Minnesota, because it's right on the border of the two. So yeah, Midwest, living just in the basement of my mother-in-law's house while we're back. My wife and I usually for the past 2 years have been living in northern Iraq. We work as humanitarian workers out there. I manage a team doing mental health and psychosocial support with survivors of genocide in northern Iraq. Poetry. I think I began writing poetry quite early on to middle school kind of time frame. Really kind of basic stuff, really rhymey, simple kind of stuff. But it was an outlet then and continues to be an outlet for just expression. And it kind of always just kind of stuck. There'd be months or even a year or two that would go by without writing anything, but I'd always kind of come back to it off and on. So I would say that by the time I actually liked any of my poetry was probably more like a junior year of college. And I ended up writing a lot more after that. So did I answer all the questions?
Yes.
Yeah, I'm just curious to know, like, would you say, like, would you actually be able to attribute anything to that time in your life where it picked up for you, or was it literally just like this feeling you just couldn't ignore or something like that?
No, my junior year of college, I was studying abroad in Tokyo, and it was just like a huge, like introspective, self-discovery time for me. And so that was, and that just ended up being a really good tool to tap into and really search the depths of myself and express myself and that sort of stuff. So, and then from there on, it just kind of turned into a love. Really enjoyed doing it. And yeah.
So it really just kind of came out, you felt like expressing yourself through poetry. And was there anything else that you feel like expressing yourself through, or was poetry kind of the main thing?
Poetry Poetry, I mean, writing in general. I do enjoy writing, working on a short story at the moment. What else? I did some songwriting. I have a recorded song somewhere. Yeah, have to share it with the Yang Gang Book Club sometime. Yeah.
Yes.
So I play a little bit of guitar off and on. I sing a bit. So music, listening to music is a huge, like oftentimes when I feel some like emotions internally or whatever, but just can't seem to access it. If not poetry, then it's probably music. I'll just listen to some songs and stuff like that, and it usually helps a lot.
Awesome. Great. And then Megan, do you want to go next?
Yeah, I mean, most of you guys know I'm Megan. And right now I'm in North Carolina, but I'm in the middle of moving. Well, not even in the middle. I'm at the very tail end of moving back home to Maryland. So that's why I'm in an empty room. Everything's gone. So I've been writing poetry, honestly, since I can remember. I think, Karina, you said you kind of have like a collection of like all of your stuff. So do I. It's in a huge fat binder. And so, since I was, like you said, Karina, like you can't really remember how it started. You just remember doing it. That's kind of the same with me. I was telling Kateri this, in third grade, I had a dumb poem about a starfish published. And like some kind of like, I think it was one of those things you'd even kind of like pay $10 for the book and they like publish it. Some weird thing like that. But I remember feeling like, whoa, this is awesome. And I just would, that was my main form kind of expressing myself, was through poetry. I would write, but I really liked the poetry format. And then I went to college and majored in English and did a lot of the creative writing classes. And so that's where I learned kind of the technical parts and the actual rules of poetry, which I was bad at following, but I learned them. I did learn them. And then after graduating, I would say I maybe wrote 1 or 2 poems and then just stopped. Almost stopped writing completely, because writing for me is so emotional and painstaking, and I'm a little bit of a perfectionist, and it would just take so much out of me emotionally. I just didn't feel like doing it, to be honest. And life got busy, and then you get these jobs that kind of suck all the creativity out of you. So yeah, this honestly, the first time I actually sat down and wrote a poem in a long time was for the Universal Basic Poetry Challenge. And those poems that you guys saw were the first poems I've written in years. So yeah, that's kind of my background with it.
Love it. I love it. I love that I made you write a poem.
It did, yeah.
Okay, yeah, so hi, my name's Kateri, you all know that. And so specifically my history with poetry is like, I've always considered myself a writer, but I definitely never considered myself a poet. Even though I'm the one that pushed this whole thing and was like, I should do poetry. I mean, Megan was completely on board too. But, like I like fiction, I like world building, and but when I've been forced to write a poem, mainly for school, I was like, oh, I actually do kind of like this. So I kind of got introduced to it. I mean, obviously, like reading, like I loved English class. So when we would read a poem in English class and it was a good poem, you have the right teacher that teaches it in the right way, you can have a really, really amazing experience with poetry. You just kind of need that guidance, I think. And so I had that to probably as a foundation. And as I probably college, like as I got, I was able to read more modern poetry that I felt like, oh, I could kind of, I guess in a way, see myself or see my own writing in that and be like, oh, like that's something I could actually write. And so, yeah, I mean, I just kind of, I did write here and there, did write poetry here and there. And so I have poems that I've written. Like I took one poetry, like just poetry writing class. And so got a few poems from that, and that's kind of it. Though it's not actually something that I've turned to, even though I turn to writing a lot. It's generally story. So this was a challenge for me to be writing a poem a day for 5 days, and I thoroughly enjoyed it. So I knew when I was on Twitter going like, "Don't think, just write. Don't think, just write." I have to tell myself that all the time. Like,
Yes.
like I had to tell myself that to myself every day, and I knew it's like one of those things where it's like vitamins, like, or not even vitamins, but like the medicine that you kind of taste bad, but is good for you. Like I just knew because I'd been told from so many other people, like that's the thing to do. And I had never really done it. I'd never been like, don't think, just write a poem a day, that whole thing. I was like, we're doing this, yeah, gang. So yeah.
Oh, sorry. I just want to touch on that. So that's how, when I write poetry, it's like no thought. It just comes to me. But when I write anything else, it's not the same process. Like you write short stories. So I imagine for you, there's planning, like ideas in your head, and how will I let the story play out? It's a different experience when you write poetry versus any other form, in my experience.
Totally. And I just want to take this moment if you're in the comments, like please, if you were participating or have an experience with poetry you'd like to share, please like comment your thoughts on the week on Universal Basic Poetry Challenge. And yeah, we're just gonna discuss it. So like, how did it go for you guys? Like, was it easy peasy? Was it a little nerve wracking? What were your thoughts?
Yeah, it was good. I think it was, in a way, it was a little bit more difficult because it definitely got me out of my typical process. A lot of my process is more organic and just kind of as it comes. So working off of a prompt or off of an idea definitely was a bit more difficult, but it was still fun. Yeah.
Yeah. So are you like specifically talking about trying to follow the prompts that we put out?
Yeah, the prompts, following the prompts and like trying to write a poem around the prompt and still have it be my poetry or inspired. Yeah. So yeah, it was interesting and fun experiment.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that there's a lot of differences between different people's processes, whereas I'm someone that I thrive better with a prompt. Because I just will sit down and be like, what do I write about? It's like nothing and everything. So, but then like, I think some people are like, whoa, like, I don't need that filter. I don't need that thing in the way. Like, I just need to write. What do we have here? I write poetry. Go ahead. Megan, you're the convert. No, you do it.
Okay. I write poetry often, but having different prompts each day was a new and fun challenge. Yeah, I think we all agree with that for sure.
Yeah.
Sure. Owen, share more poetry with us then.
Yeah. I was gonna say, what were you guys' favorite prompts?
My favorite prompt.
If you can remember.
I liked the prompt where we had to find a poem. What was it called? The golden shovel prompt.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, the golden shovel.
That was really challenging. Like it was, but it made, I don't know. It was, I think that's why I liked it. It was difficult.
Yeah, I can imagine that would have been the hardest one for Paul because it was like very like
do this.
Like it's very like the possibilities are endless, but at the same time, like literally every line has to end with this word. So for those of you that don't know, the most difficult prompt we have by far, which was on day 4, it's called the Golden Shovel Challenge. And I don't even know if I knew about this, but you basically can take a line from any poem, or you can take the whole poem, which one of the most famous poems that follows this challenge does that, takes this whole poem, and then you turn each word into the last word on each line. So you could write a shorter one with just one line of poetry, and you know exactly where you have to end up, but then you have to end up at the word every time as it's dictated for you. So yeah.
I didn't even do that one, you guys. I couldn't even the brain processing and power that had to go into that, I've been putting towards other things. And I was like, I told Kateri, I was like, Terry, I know I'm supposed to do every day because this is like our challenge. I can't even do this one. I was like, I can't.
Yeah. Okay,
I'm gonna from Trevor.
Let's do a comment.
Trevor said, I loved it.
Oh my gosh. Megan, you gotta hop on that.
I know, I need to just do it. Okay. I loved it, but it worries me a bit because the more I remove my thinking, the better the writing went.
I feel that.
Yes, it seems counterintuitive, right?
Yeah.
But it's not. Like, especially like Karina was saying, especially I feel like for poetry, where and we can kind of dive into this a little bit later, but especially where like poetry, yes, it has rules, but it's very free flow. You know what I mean? Like you can get super creative with it. Right. So it sounds counterintuitive to remove the thinking, but it does help.
Yeah. I think that you guys might agree with me, but I think once you can get to that level where you really can do that freely and like find that within yourself, like that's when you really turn into a true poet, I feel. At least that's one big element of it.
Yeah. So Manny said, I needed motivation to write my poetry, so I listened to and read the words of John F. Kennedy, Robert F. Kennedy, and poet Carl Sandburg. Of course, all of you inspired those words as well.
I love that. I love that you like went. Manny, I love that you like went to the, not the effort, but you thought like, okay, what's something that inspires me, and like let me kind of do that work and stay true to myself in that way, which is very cool. Yeah, I think your poetry definitely stays true to who you are. I love it.
Yeah. This is Mark. He said, honestly, I felt pretty inspired to write poetry for the first time during the challenge. I especially like the part where we had to make an alien-inspired poem.
It seems like that's the favorite here on the
yes, I see that.
Yeah, I was gonna say that. I think so. That was Trevor's prompt, basically, right?
It was, yeah.
Like he didn't formally submit it, but I think he was just like did a poem on aliens. I forget.
He did.
Was that right around when the government showed the alien video?
Yes.
Kind of. Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
Yeah.
So in that way, guys, all of you who wrote a poem about an alien, like that's a historic, like, you know how like when there's like wars and stuff and people write poetry about the war, you literally like wrote a poem about something very historical. So be proud.
Yes. Another aliens prompt, lots of creative poetry came from that one. And then Owen said he will be sharing more poetry. Yay! Good. That's awesome, Owen. You can be one of our poets.
Yes. Well, maybe we should use this as the moment. I'm not saying we can stop the discussion, but should we use this moment to announce our announcement?
Yeah, I think that kind of naturally, like organically comes up. Yeah.
Yeah. So.
Should me and Karina like do like a drum roll, like?
Ready?
Yeah.
So for those of you who enjoyed it and want to share more poetry/writing in general, we have decided that, or like we've put our heads together and we've had the idea sort of brewing in a way, but we finally like synthesized it. Okay. So, we're not done. Universal Basic Poetry is not over. The plan for now is we're going to have Wednesdays, hashtag. Megan, you say it because.
On Wednesdays, we write.
Wait, that's the hashtag?
That one was you.
Yeah.
That's the hashtag.
I love it.
Mean Girls reference.
Yeah.
It's me and Megan. What do you expect?
Yeah. Right.
And we currently don't have any regular programming on Wednesdays, so it's open. So on Wednesdays, we will release a prompt and hashtag on Wednesdays we write, and then encourage you to post an update. So 1 week it will be a Universal Basic Poetry prompt. So just like kind of like we did. here's a prompt. If any of you want to contribute to that and like come up with a prompt, DM us. We want all the prompts that you have. And then if you want to share it, you can just share it just like we did over the week. And then but we'll also do like alternating. So then the next time we'll probably do something like an example that we're going to start with is like post a picture, like a photography picture, a cool picture. That's what I was trying to say. Post a cool picture and like write about it. Write a story, write a personal essay, write about it, and post an update. So if it's something more long form, you could just like in your tweet or like take a picture of a paragraph or, post something with the hashtag. And then that will feed into our story times as we keep going. So use the hashtag so we can find your work so it doesn't, and then you can also still submit to the email. And then we'll read it on our live streams maybe every other Monday, depending on how often we can do it.
Yeah.
Throughout the month.
I just want to address this. Yes, Trevor, it's going to be on Wednesday, either on Wednesdays we write or Wednesdays we write. Either one. We'll kind of finesse it. But yeah, I think it's cute. I think it's catchy. And the way Twitter works, if you have like a cute, catchy hashtag, people want to be part of it. So yeah, it's exciting. So I think too, if you do have something more long form as well, we can tweet out our email as well, and you can send us the more long form thing so that we can read it on our live stream.
Yeah. I was just saying, we need it, but we also could use a hashtag. I was thinking we could use a hashtag for like the thing as a whole, because it's kind of like multiple parts that come into one. So if you guys have a hashtag for like, I don't know, Yanking rights or something, let us know your suggestions. So what were some of the other things that we could talk about? We talked about prompts, and then did you guys have a favorite poem that you wrote? Prompt or not? I'm trying to think.
Are you asking us or are you asking the people watching?
Yeah,
everybody.
Yeah.
Prompt or not?
Yeah, it doesn't. Yeah, because so everyone knows, like we tried to like explain this, but yeah, it's hard. Yeah, the prompts are optional. Like you don't have to follow the prompt. You could also write whatever you want.
We did. There was quite a number of people who didn't follow a prompt but still wrote poetry, which was really cool to see.
Yeah.
I know I tried both. I don't remember everything I wrote right now.
Honestly, yeah. You know what? I was going to say, actually, I ended up really liking the one that your prompt, Karina, that was, which I thought almost surprised me because I feel like you're such a like spiritual, like deep, philosophical, like just poetic person. And then you're like, you crash landed on a desert island and you're alone. Like
I love that. That one inspired me the most, to be honest with you. Like that's the prompt that inspired me the most, because I was like, I like those like I feel like most of my poetry ends up being angsty, and so that one really like really spoke to me. So
I liked that one because I thought, especially for people who maybe are new to writing poetry, it's easier, in my opinion, to write about something that is emotional. For me, I don't know if this is the same for everyone. So I just imagine like what's an emotional situation, and that would be pretty intense. So I don't know if anyone enjoyed it, but I did.
I liked that one.
It was my favorite poem that I wrote was based on the island crashing one. So
I liked yours. I remember yours. It was very good.
Yeah,
that was good.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, I remember that.
Karina, you have another shout out. Trevor said he loved your poem where you made his poem look really basic and amateur.
Thank you.
Trevor, she's a pro.
Trevor, you inspired me. My inspiration came from you when I read your poem.
Yeah, Trevor, I really liked that poem, that alien poem that inspired the prompt. Thanks for that. And I also, I mean, I think that like, I do feel like people who are like new to poetry, like think it has to be like really complicated or complex or like all these words. And I'm like, honestly, like think of like, why is a haiku one of the most
Right.
popular forms? Because like simplicity and clarity, I guess. Yeah, simplicity is like can be so beautiful. You know, both are beautiful.
Yeah,
I think.
I agree.
Yeah, cool. Choose a favorite. This one's. I'm gonna pull up this comment. Did we just pull this up?
No, I
Like
didn't.
children.
No,
I
yeah.
don't think I could choose.
Oh, that's great.
I think it's a mixture of that and what Karina said, where I'm like, what did I even write? Versus like, yeah, that's funny. Here's another one. I'll pull up one more Raymond guy. Oh wait, that's Trevor. That's funny. It pops in. Trevor said, I found so much freedom in poetry. I want to explore. I love that.
Yeah, that's great. Yeah, I think I saw like Mark posted earlier on too about just like feeling really inspired to write poetry for the first time, which is been really great to see all of that coming out of the Yin Gang from this experience.
Clicking through the hashtag was a lot of fun because I feel like it was people that I've never seen even interact with the book club page before, like writing, and so that was really cool.
Yeah, we met so many of you. Like we got these poems from like to us, like kind of I don't want to say random people, but kind of like people we had just never seen before and like interacted on the page before, and we got poems from you and consistent poems too. So like that was so cool. And I agree, it was so cool to hear people be like, well, I don't write poetry. I've never written poetry, but I'll go for it. Like, why not? Like, that's what the Yang Gang is so awesome. Because we're like, oh, let's do it. And I found that, like, that's the most inspiring thing to me. And even as someone, like, even though I don't, like I said, I don't really consider myself really a poet, as just a writer, you know, as someone who does go through that creative process, that was really inspiring to me. Like, I was like,
I agree. I think that's inspiring because so many people were willing to be vulnerable because sharing something you write, like it can be very personal too. And I think kudos to everyone who shared because it's not easy to put yourself out there like that. And
snaps all around.
I feel like I do like a little shimmy salsa snap. Dance snap.
Here's an idea for a few.
I like that. Because you know what I love about that is that it incorporates the fact that it's not just poetry. Because like if it could be universal basic poetry, that'd be great because that's like it is
catchy,
such a great hashtag. But you know, like it's clever, I guess. But that one's great because I was like, oh, we can't really use it because it says poetry and it doesn't say like. And then like universal basic writing like just doesn't have the same ring to it.
No, it doesn't. No.
No, I like that one. Keep them coming though, guys. We want to hear more.
Raceland said, literally made 2 to 3 poems about not being a poet. That's amazing.
Yeah, I really like that. I like that meta-ness. Thought that was cool. Thought that was super cool. Let's see here. Any more things?
Let's see.
Sorry, I'm pulling up some more.
You're fine. I'll go ahead and read Trevor's while you're pulling up the outline. Trevor said, it's weird because poets are universally so inviting, but most people are so reluctant to jump into poetry. But like most things, the water is warm. Yeah. And I feel like most, especially in the Yang Gang, people in the Yang Gang especially are just like, if you want to try something, everyone's like, yeah, go for it. Do it. You got this. We can do this together. Like, and so it's like, yes, poets are generally pretty inviting because like I said, it's a very like free-flowing form of writing for them, you know, for some parts. And so it's like generally like, yeah, just do it. Just get your words out. But then especially like in this kind of environment where everyone's like, yeah, and everybody else is new to this too. So just do it. Like you don't have to worry.
Yeah, for sure. So let us know, guys, if you are planning to contribute. Contribute your poems. So, does anyone else have anything they want to say or? I'm just pulling up just another poem here. Sorry. So yeah, so that was we just wanted to like discuss that and announce future plans for writing and discuss like where we're at and how we did. You guys did awesome. So thank you. And thank you for your takeovers. And yeah, like putting your work out there in that way. That was super awesome.
Yeah. And we know the takeovers aren't easy. Making videos of yourself if you're not used to it can be really awkward.
Yeah.
So thank you guys for doing that with us.
Thank you for asking us. It was, Paul, I don't want to speak for you, but for me, it was a phenomenal experience. So thank you.
Yeah, I definitely enjoyed it, and I appreciated the opportunity, and this one too, just to join you guys and talk with all of the really talented poets out there in the Yang Gang we didn't know we had.
I know.
Yeah. Super, super cool. So we're gonna read. We're gonna read some of the best poets. This is like say some of the best. Basically, people who wrote like 4 to 5 poems in the week and sent us a poem. So if you're in the chat and you want us to read your poem, actually, Raceland, did you send us a poem to read? I'm trying to look. Let me look. Make sure that you send it to us and we can read it. And then, yeah, so I'm going to start with Pastor Steve's because he wrote so much amazing Yang Gang poetry. I was like, how are you going to pick one? Because they were all really good. And then also these are the poems that we will be reading on the page. This is kind of like an extra thing we're doing to feed the story time. So yeah, if you send us your poem and we'd like, oh, we're going to read it, that will happen on the page. It will be a thing. But we're also going to read it here. So Pastor Stephen Browers, he wrote this poem. I'll show it because I did actually print.
Oh, yeah.
Called Who Was the Yang Gang in 2020? Trucker conservative, SpaceX CEO, West Coast actress, my daddy. Mormon YouTube co-host, field organizer, small town pastor, poet's son. Rock and roll caregiver, finance director, CNN host, Asian nerd. Expat from India, tribal artisan, Twitter founder, YouTube fan. Filipino Christian, SD veteran, mayor of Portsmouth, atheist. Trumper in Idaho, inspiring hype man, Walking Dead's Glenn, caucus chair. UBI advocate, Hindu sex worker, Midwest farmer, button mom. Hmong Twitter follower, Catholic voter, high school senior, camera guy, creative consultant, SC campaign chair, chiropractor, single mom, converted church member, home birth advocate, grade school teacher, pregnant wife, girl who loves RBG, human highlight film, first time voter, friend from Spain, YouTube interviewers, best comedians, not left, not right, Andrew Yang.
Yeah. I love that one. And did you guys see when he explained like the stuff behind it?
He gave the key.
Yeah, well, not just that, but how he did the lines. Like
oh yeah, I did see a little bit of that.
Yeah, like the numbering of the lines, and like it's so meticulously thought out down to like I'm pretty sure the syllables of it too. Like so it's the talent that you guys don't even know is like in this one is insane.
Yeah.
Really
Pastor
good.
Steve is a poet. Like,
yeah.
I'm just like, like, do you not write poetry on the regular? Because he like made a comment about like, you know, I forget exactly what he said, but it was something like, you know, getting in the way of his work, or it's totally not taking any time out of my work hours or whatever. I was like, yeah, like this is pretty thought through. I mean, he clearly, you know, he would follow the prompts, and like he clearly was like writing a poem a day. But yeah, really, really awesome work. So I don't know if he's here, but thank you if you're watching this. Thank you so much for participating. I loved reading your
that
poetry.
one was really good. And I put this in the comments. If you guys are wondering all the people he was mentioning in that poem, he does have the key with all the people tagged on his Twitter page. So if you guys are curious.
I love that because it gives more depth to the poem, knowing that it's attached to real.
Yeah.
You know, that means so much more, because you can make up any world or dream or whatever with words. You can do whatever, but to use real life and bring that into that is pretty phenomenal. That's fantastic.
Yeah. It's like it goes to show like you can make your life into poetry, you know, like you don't have to, it doesn't have to be all this abstract stuff.
Yeah.
Like you can do something concrete out of your memories. So shall we just go Megan, then Karina, then Paul?
Yeah.
Share some more of the poets.
And since everybody's talking about how obviously the girl who loves RBG is Luna in the comments, I'll read Luna's poem, you guys.
Luna did a great job. She
did, and she kept it PG.
Real classy.
She kept it PG. I'm so proud of her. Okay. All right. So I believe this one was inspired by the alien prompt. So, she's beautiful beyond compare, with verdant scales and lilac hair. Her eyes on stalks shine ruby red, a bright ringed neck supports her head. Her gauzy wings boast colors bright as she flies brightly through the night. You never know just where she'll go in flowing robe and lace jabot. The head judge of the galaxy is otherworldly RBG. Snap, 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 snap. Love it.
I seriously love like lighthearted, fun poetry. Like,
yes,
you know, like write a poem about a superhero or like a video game. I love it. So, great job, Luna.
Yeah.
It's also nice, like poetry that just rhymes. Like, I mean, because a lot of my poetry, a lot of modern poetry, like, you know, the rhyming has kind of like gone out, and it focuses on other things, and that's often kind of viewed as more amateur, but I don't think it necessarily is. It's just, and so it's really refreshing to sometimes get some of those poems that have really good rhyming in it.
Yeah. I agree.
And rhyming it's not easy. I mean, I don't rhyme a lot of my poems, but it's more because when I do write, it's more just kind of flows, and it doesn't always rhyme flows. But to actually intend to rhyme is not a task. So yeah.
I mean, I think that's the main reason why, like, when I've taken like poetry writing workshops and stuff like that, you're generally told don't rhyme. It's not gonna be good. It's not gonna be good.
Yeah.
But it was so cool to see so many people doing awesome rhyming poems. So I'm like, rhyme. That's great stuff. Okay. So, Karina, who are you gonna read first?
Okay, let me see. I gotta pull it up. Put it down. So I have. Looks like Will J.
Yes.
Right. It's called Deserted. Sand under my feet, alone. How did I get here? Me. I broke the world. So I loved this because it's simple, but it packs a punch.
Do you want to read it again, actually? Because it's just like so short, and just like you have to really like appreciate it.
Sure. So, sand under my feet, alone. How did I get here? Me. I broke the world.
Oh, that is really good. It's kind of haunting.
Yeah.
But I think I like that about it. And to be simplistic and yet powerful is also well done.
Yeah, I think this poem is a great example. We were talking earlier about just like how poetry doesn't have to be long. It doesn't have to be complex. It can be really kind of short. And I think this is a great example of a very powerful short poem.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah. It's like one of those things like, what do you really say other than like snaps? That was,
I know.
yeah. And just exactly what you said, like you guys just said it all. So yeah, thank you. Thank you, Will J. I loved seeing all you did. You definitely did a great job. You did at least most of them. To me, like so many of you, everyone did every poem. Like from my perspective, because I think I keep track. And so, like the fact that even you did 3 out of 5, like feels like you did them all. So I'm just gonna say,
Yeah.
thanks for doing it all. Comment. Oh, I thought you were gonna read it.
Comment disappeared.
There were 2 that I liked. Sorry. This one from Owen. I love when a poem so concise can have such an impact. Yes. I think that's what's interesting about having people share their stuff on Twitter, right? Is that it has to be a little bit concise if you want to fit it into a tweet.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then this one too from Chaz.
Oh, I love it. Yeah, poetry connects us. I think that was, you know what, that's a really good comment, because I think that actually encompasses a feeling that I felt that whole week of like seeing everyone like being kind of like struggling together and creating and posting together, and like there's just something about reading everyone's poetry, especially when there's this feeling of like we're not all poets, or like we are poets, but we're not like this like common notion of poets. Like we're all discovering together, and there, even if some people are a little more experienced than others, like there was definitely that, I felt that vibe, that culture, and
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
All right.
Paul,
so
what do you got for us?
This one is by Victor Wayne Ho.
Yes.
And this is that 4th challenge, that really, really difficult challenge.
Oh, yeah. He was the only one who sent me that. Most people sent the alien when they said, read this. He sent me that one, so
you did a great job. So, I don't know if there's a title to it, so I'll just jump right in.
Yeah, some of them are untitled, so just jump in.
Yeah. One night I prayed, how long can I hold? For hope, time was running out fast. I fell deep in silence, wanting to wake from these awful bad dreams. This oblivion I was not meant for. These lonely nights, not knowing when. What I will trade for many good dreams, knowing it will only laugh, leave, and go. If this limbo overtakes my life, then let it be for what it is. Neither and or if, but just an a long dark memory so barren. And as much as I cling through its field, my emotions are now lost and frozen. Like joy, the one that stayed with, faded like the taste of snow. Yeah, that's yeah, really. No, I just think he did a great job. I kind of like the third to last stanza. Neither and or if, but just an like I think that's really, really clever how he used the at the end of the word there and got that working in his poem. I thought that was really well done.
Yeah, but and the line itself just does a great job of encapsulating, encapsulating speech. Like it turns like our completely unfiltered, like just daily speech patterns into like a line of poetry, which I thought was really, there's something so powerful in that, even though it's not this like big philosophical thought.
Yeah, I had to like read that line like 4 or 5 times because like your brain doesn't like compute it that way. It's like all these particles and you're like, wait, what?
Yeah. And then actually what we should do, I guess, is could you read the last words in each line so we can see the...
So the last words in the lines: hold fast to dreams, for when dreams go, life is a barren field frozen with snow.
I think that's, I'm pretty sure he did Langston Hughes. I hope I'm not wrong. I'll be really embarrassed if I'm wrong, but I'm pretty sure that's his famous dream poem.
Yeah, Langston Hughes. Yep, that's correct.
Yeah.
His second
cool.
stanza of Dreams by Langston Hughes.
Yeah, it was interesting that I think I was almost the only one, maybe one other person, I don't remember who, that when I did the challenge that actually did the one that's based on the kind of original, like the challenge is you can do any poem, but like there's one famous, how do you describe this? There's one famous one based off of another famous one, and that's the most famous example. I'm just forgetting the names of the poems. Everyone else who did it picked their own, and I thought that was really interesting. And it was really interesting to see who picked what. Like there was a really huge diversity of people picking different like poetry lines and stuff. Yeah, beautiful poem.
Yeah, Victor, well done.
Absolutely. I would want to read that several times through. I feel like there's a lot of layers.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the one hard part about now you can see like doing these because it's like sometimes I feel like we should just show the poem. But yeah, with longer ones it's like like just having your initial reactions, you're just kind of like, wow, that was nice.
Yeah.
Let's read it again sometime. Agree. So I have, based on the handle, and this is someone who is another supporter of the book club, Alex James. I think the Twitter handle is AlexJames503. And this is untitled. But you'll get which one prompt it was. Probably you can guess. As I sit here in my chair, forced to stroke my own hair, I think of a time when the world felt like it was all mine. Boy, I don't think I could have been a day past 9. I was living on the cold yet beautiful coast. The salt water so strong it turned my rusty bike the color of undercooked toast. I used to dive in the sand with nothing but stars in the sky, thinking the government won't tell us, but why? I would lay in the sand as I bargain and plead for something out there to help our race get to where we need. But as I sit and wait to feel the extraterrestrial embrace, I realize that finding additional life off Earth isn't a race. But the minute I think extraterrestrials couldn't be real, bang! Here comes to save the day, Mr. Andrew Yang. I love that you turned the alien poem into also a Yang Gang poem.
The Yang Gang call up.
That one was such a good build up. You know what I mean? Like it just kept going, like building and building and building. Like it's very anticipatory. Like I loved it.
Yeah, and it had a really great payoff, right?
Yeah.
And I'll just say something that I kind of appreciated, being that this is the alien poem, that I think you do well here, Alex, is you kind of catch me off guard that it turned into an alien poem. Like I like that you you lean into these very sensory things, which I just like in poetry in general. I like the poetry that leans into the senses. When you talk about living on the cold, beautiful coast and you toast, your bike, sand, the sky, it actually ends up, you really wrote a really well-formed poem here, even though it's not the most serious thing. I thought that was really effective and really great. So great job, Snaps. Cool. Okay, we're about halfway through. Megan.
Yes, I got another alien poem. This one is from Audrey. Okay. They are amongst us, in us, shadows we ignore. An atmospheric cage keeps us apart. I wonder if you see, are we your siblings? Do you think of us at all?
Megan, I think that one is the one that made us go back and forth in a conversation about what we think.
Yeah.
Yeah. We were inspired to discuss that.
Yeah. Because it did inspire. I feel like the alien, especially when people specifically actually talked about life on other planets, aliens, it was really interesting to inspire the conversations, because I don't think, Karina, you and I were the only ones to talk about it. I think other people were also like, well, do you actually believe that there is life on other planets? And if there is life on other planets, do they even like wonder if we're here? Like, do they even care? Like, it's like that. It's like a constant circle of like inspiration. You have the Trevor inspiring the prompt, inspiring people to write, inspiring people to then talk about it, which inspires people to write again. And so it's like it's this constant like cycle.
It's a great example of poetry opening up dialogue and the space for it. I think that's one of the benefits of poetry. It can open up different perspectives, and sometimes they're controversial, but it helps give you the space to have that conversation.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Agreed.
Yeah. For my own comment just on that is I just love the ambiguity of all of it. Like, we kind of had this context of understanding because we knew the prompt, but I don't think she necessarily stuck to the prompt, or she was, but she still wrote it in a way that there's a lot of room for interpretation there, like at least the meaning of it, So I loved that. I thought that was great.
Yeah.
I loved I think my favorite part was the atmospheric cage. I just like that, like descriptor, but also I had to practice saying that like a million times before we got on here, because my tongue kept getting tongue tied. I was like, atmospheric. Like,
yeah, me too, with extraterrestrial embrace in Alex's poem. I was like, okay, you got this. Nailed it.
Yeah.
Cool. My next.
Yes, Karina.
All right. Let's see here. So next I have. Sorry, I lost it. There it is. This is from Owen Ramison. Did I say that right? Ramison.
Who I think is here.
I think so.
I think so, yeah.
Yeah, and he was saying, Owen's here, or was here. Hopefully you're still here, because we're going to read your poem. Go ahead.
Read it now. Here we go. All I can hear are children crying. Over the silence of the street, it's so hard to play songs when I don't even know what they mean. The flowers all died in the winter, and the gardener won't come by no more. All I can do is sing about hope. Soon, the children will be playing. Soon the flowers will be blooming, and the cars will be zooming. Soon, the music will boom. We will have hope soon.
You make me cry.
I loved this one.
Yeah.
Like, this one in particular, I remember thinking about like days after. Like, it would just.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's really pretty. It does. I think you do a really good job of just like capturing all those simple things that we see on the day to day.
Yeah.
And just having that feeling of there-ness, but all loneliness. And to me, it feels like very of the times, and it's inspired by kind of stuff we're all going through right now. And I thought it was beautiful.
But it was still hopeful, even though part of it doesn't feel so hopeful. It still has by the time you get to the end, it has a sense of hope.
Yeah. It has a big turnaround from the like first couple lines.
Yeah.
Yeah. Great. Who just read that? That was you, Karina.
Karina. Yeah. This next one is by Mark. Twitter handle, is that what it's called? The Twitter handle? Sorry, my lingo's not up to date.
Mark's Twitter handle is Flames of Mark.
Flames of Mark. I like that Twitter handle.
Yes.
I also like it in with his poem he's going to share too. I feel like it's a fitting handle for his poem. So this is called The Youthful Fears and Desires by Flames of Mark. The pitter-patter heartbeats, the sweat lingering on the skin, the thoughts that provoke an image, the over-calculations going on the mind, all comes together to produce something. Is it fear or is it uncertainty? Is it anxiousness or is it an unknown? All what's desired is a sense of stability, a sprinkle of happiness, and a one-way ticket towards love.
Hmm.
Well done, Mark. I like that one a lot. Yeah.
So good.
Yes.
I'll start by saying Mark was definitely one of the ones who made it clear that, poetry. Okay. Yeah, I kind of want.
Yeah.
I've been wanting to write more poetry. That sounds like a great idea. Let's write poetry.
Yeah.
At least that was the gist I got. I hope I got that right, Mark. But that was the gist I got from your tweets, and that was so exciting. I loved hearing that from you.
Yeah, and I love that, like, through a lot of his, you can tell Mark is like one of the sweetest people that you could interact with on Twitter. He's very sweet. He's very aware of everybody's feelings and emotions, and he himself is like this really sweet, emotional person. And I feel like that really shows through in the poetry that he writes, which is awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I feel like writing poetry and poetry about love sometimes is and can be rather difficult because you feel like a lot of things have already been done, like a lot of things have already been said, but he did a really good job of talking about love and the kind of complex feelings behind that. And it was really fun.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, it's just I think honesty there is the thing that being is just like honest with yourself.
Mm.
And your poetry is at least that's the gist I got, or the vibe I got from that poem. Yeah. Beautiful. Thank you, Mark.
Yeah, good job, Mark.
Yeah.
Like
okay, so now do I read yours? Oh no, I'm gonna read Raceland's. Raceland, I went and looked and found one that you had put in the group chat, so I'm gonna read that one. Is he even commenting? I don't see any new DMs from him.
I think he's still here. Yeah, I think he's still here. Okay. Yeah, he just commented. He's still here.
Oh, I'm not at the bottom. Okay. So I'm gonna go for this is okay, the title is called Alien, so I'm not spoiling it that it's the and Raceland loves to rhyme, so I'm excited for this. Here we go. Alien. Could have sworn someone said alien. Must have came from a Salian, or a wary Episcopalian with a head fit for a Marginocephalian. I'm not sure, but I can assure they want us to be unsure as they feed a 5-course meal, food for thought, true, false, true, with a mindless thank you, sir. So many would rather I look at my Nintendo, I don't have one, or my window, I had one, until I cleaned it like I had a bottle full of Windex and turned it into Linux Mint fresh. I must be that alien they speak of because I like to go by a different OS. I honestly feel a bit distressed, but I don't need an SOS because I'd rather be brave and help fight for the thing we all crave, like that UBI, because I'm sick and tired of that UBY and that top bottom UB lie.
The ending is clutch.
I know.
Raceland knows I'm a big fan of his poetry. I love it. It reads like music and slam poetry all in one.
Slam poetry,
I
definitely.
love it.
I agree. I would love to hear them.
Go ahead, Karina.
I would love to hear. You said Rice. How do I say the name?
Raceland.
I would love to hear Raceland read that.
Oh, Raceland, send us a video of you reading it.
Yeah, Raceland, this is a call out. Karina is calling you out.
Challenge accepted.
Challenge, yeah.
Poetry challenge accepted. Yeah, that was fun to read, and I've read it before, but it's been a little while, so I was like, oh, I should read it again. But there's something about it's funny when it's not like da 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 and rhymes and clear lines and his I mean, I don't think he said in the message that it wasn't necessarily super edited. It was a don't think, just write poem, but there was I think that there was still a lot of intentionality with lack of punctuation, because I know you guys couldn't see it, so it's like he would have like a lack of punctuation, and just the words are all you have. That's the only track you have. That's the only like path you have. It's just the words themselves, and so you have to figure it out as you go. And it does make a really like beautiful rhythm, like you talked about, like it being like a song, and then it also has that soul and that beat and stuff like that makes you think of like slam poetry and stuff.
Yeah. And I don't know if you guys have had any conversations with Raceland on Twitter. He thinks so much differently than like I do, or most people have conversations with. And so it's really cool to kind of see that part of him come through in his poetry. It's like really awesome.
Yeah. Yeah, that is always interesting to like get to know someone and then see the poetry that they write.
Mm-hmm.
I like Chaz's comment. Ray is the glitch in the matrix we need to reboot. That's a great one. I smiled at that one.
Chaz, are you sure you don't want to write poetry? You're spitting some fire in this comment section.
Yeah, do you guys ever like read people's tweets and like wonder like like, do you write? Like that was fire. Like
I know.
Not just a hot take, but like a snap hot take.
Yeah.
Okay, so you guys read all the poems you are supposed to read. I just want to make sure I don't miss anyone. I do have a list, but
I have one more.
And mine, right? So
one more plus yours.
So yeah, maybe you'll read that one, I'll read yours, and then you read mine.
Yeah, and then Karina and Paul can read theirs.
Okay.
Yes, you guys close us out with poetry readings.
Okay, so this one is, her handle is Cosmic Gardener. All right. A line always offers two sides. It must be drawn to be alive. For our spirit is of one, but our body from form. Separate perspectives must prevail. Precious purpose each entail. Respect, express, all detail.
I love it.
Mm-hmm.
That one touches close to my heart, because I love when poetry kind of gets at that question between like our form and our spirit, and that kind of disconnect that's a common theme in a lot of my poetry. So I really appreciate that. That's fun.
Yeah.
I really like this one. Yeah. I think the ending especially, I like how like she kind of like has the ending. I don't know. It's fun to read too. I like poetry is like cool to read, obviously, but to read it out loud gives it kind of this new feeling. Mm-hmm. And I feel like for me, reading this one like out loud kind of made it even better to me.
Yeah, we should come back to that comment later in a potentially future discussion on this live stream, Megan. Reading out loud.
Yeah. Yes.
We'll get to that. Yeah. Great. Any more comments on that one?
I love the line imagery that she had at the beginning. I thought that was a really like I could just see it in my head, and then what she was kind of talking about around that was just really cool all around. I really like this poem. Very good job.
Mm-hmm. Very good.
Yeah, very, very great. Okay, let me pull up Megan's.
I'm so nervous.
I'm excited.
It's so different when it's your own poem being read.
I know. And you picked, or I'll read it first. I know you did already say which one was your favorite, but read it first. Again, the title kind of gives it away.
You don't have to
this
read
is.
the title.
Well, I'll read it. It's there. Like there. Crash Landing by Megan Brooks. High-pitched ringing in my ear, then silence. I blink like a newborn child, gazing at a sky I don't recognize. My mind is blank. Who am I? Where am I? My heart is racing with fear. My hands are reaching. They come up empty. A name races through my mind too fast for my tongue to speak. Hesitant, I stand up slowly. My mind is blank. My heart is racing with fear. My feet take me forward.
Great.
So like I feel like there was like definitely a little yang gang nod in there, considering the very last line of the whole word of the whole poem is forward.
Oh, look at that. I didn't catch that.
Was that intentional?
It was not. I think that's just so. I think because like the yang gang and the humanity first and moving forward movement is so ingrained in my head now, it just kind of came out in the writing.
So it was, you kind of walked us through like what you were experiencing, and when you wrote that, do you see like this image in your head? Do you see it and then you put the words to it? Is that what you do?
Yeah.
I feel that.
Yeah.
That's how.
Yeah, for sure. So Karina, you literally hit it right on the head. When I saw your prompt, I immediately got that picture in my head of like, I mean, in my head, there's also like a plane on the ground, and like I'm kind of just like waking up flat on my back, like looking up, like what's happening. You know what I mean? That's literally like what I got in my head, and I was like, oh, put it down. So yeah, you really hit that right on the head. Yeah.
I mean, in the way you wrote it, it really gets that across that it took me there to where I can see.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, it's great.
Thanks.
Yeah. Well, what I loved about this poem is that you really stuck to the prompt, but then you made it so it's like this specific experience, that like kind of was laid out for you. But then I love how you ended it on a note that like everyone, it's so like general in a beautiful way. Like everyone can feel that feeling of like picking themselves up and being like, whoa, like something just changed my life forever, but I'm going to pick myself up and keep moving forward. So it's like, that was really cool. Like when I remember like reading it for the first time and being like, that was amazing.
I'm like tearing up. This makes me so happy. That was the first poem. I texted Kateri after I wrote it. I said, Kateri, this is the first poem I've written in like 4 or 5 years. Like I was like this, and kind of what you were saying, Kateri, is exactly how I was feeling. I'm moving. I'm starting over. And a lot of those emotions were coming through in like everything I was writing. I was like, obviously I'm in a headspace, a very specific headspace right now, but it's really interesting to like hear somebody kind of talk about what you were writing, and then to hear that like your thoughts and feelings came across the way you wanted them to, and that people are picking up on that is really special. And I'm not joking. I really am kind of tearing up right now because it's like, it makes me happy and it makes me want to keep writing. So
you're not allowed to stop writing.
I won't. And I need to shout out.
No, really,
Kateri,
you're not.
guys.
We're doing this thing, Megan. Like,
yeah, I'm gonna keep doing it. But
you're in a contract, Yang Gang Book Club.
Yeah. This is my writing contract. But yeah, I really do think that like I want to shout out Kateri for this, because this poetry thing was her idea. We were kind of trying to think of, it's Poetry Month. How are we gonna like do that? And she was like, let's have everybody write a poem every day. And that really inspired me. And I literally I kept texting her like, I'm so happy you did this. Like, so shout out to Kateri. And then to segue into that, I'm gonna read what I think one of my favorite ones after your ballet experience one. That was my second favorite.
Oh, really?
This one,
that's interesting to hear.
I really like that one. But this one I think is perfect for the times, I think. So, We All Need to Be Poets by Kateri Ransom. We need our nurses to be poets. We need our police officers to be philosophers, our politicians to be dancers, our authors to be scientists, our scientists to be comedians, our philosophers to be realists, our lobbyists to be humanists, our artists to be gardeners, our gamers to be warriors. They could be. We all could be poets.
Yeah, that one gave me goosebumps. That was really good. I remember reading that one and being like, wow, that's really powerful.
I love that one. Love it.
I agree, Paul. I remember reading it too and thinking this is one of my favorites. So
far.
Just
it
has such a brilliant message that I think we need to not forget. The world needs exactly what you said. So
yeah.
And I think for me, one of the things I kind of think about is that we kind of always think about we tend to think of ourselves like, well, I am only this. You know what I mean? I am only a nurse. I am only a police officer, and this is what I do, and this is who I am. But in reality, like, we're multifaceted people. You know, we are made up of so much more than what we do as a job. You know, like, it just because you're, you know, actually, Karina, aren't you a nurse and a poet?
Yeah.
Oh, that line was you. That was you.
Yeah, you know, like, you're a nurse and a poet, you know, and it's just like, you know, every one of us, you know, we're made up of more than what's on even on the surface, you know. And so that's why, to me, I really liked this one, because I feel like anybody has a creative mind in there somewhere. It's just being able to have the freedom to tap into it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, not to get like too terribly political, but it's so relevant to the times. Like, you know, with the push for UBI and like all of the politicians just trying to labeling us as workers and things like that. You know, they want to label us as a single entity, but we're not. We're so much more complex.
Yeah.
Did he freeze?
Oh no,
up?
I think he froze.
I think he froze.
Kind of
No.
thing.
Okay, there you go.
Oh, did we lose me? Oh, sorry.
I was like, no.
We did lose me.
So yeah, very well done, Kateri. I thought that was a really, really strong poem.
Thanks,
I loved
guys. Can I actually post one about it? Not for the compliment, but the thing that comes before it.
Yeah.
I like this, Chaz. We are all a work of art, and thank you for the compliment. But I love that you said that we are all a work of art. That is such a cool way to put it. I love that.
Yes. But
Thank
see,
you.
Chaz,
Thank you.
again, man.
Come on, dude. Where's that poem? We better see one next Wednesday.
You've almost got a poem written from your comments. Just finish it.
I can definitely tell. I think like a couple of Chaz's comments are definitely Matrix related. I'm curious. Have you watched the Matrix lately, Chaz?
Yes.
And like isn't Andrew Yang doing some Matrix viewing or something today?
He is. Yeah. He has a thread going on about it. Chaz, I will be expecting a Matrix-themed poem.
Yeah, Matrix-themed poem.
You know, I was just gonna say, all right, that's you guys, right? That should be our first. Let's make that our first prompt.
Yes.
Let's do it.
And Chaz is gonna write a poem for it. Where's our Matrix poem? Because the Alien one was so popular, so I feel like people would love to write a poem about the Matrix. Come on.
Absolutely.
He said, "I'm only here for the support." No, Chaz, I refuse to accept that.
This is how you support. You write a poem. We're defining support right now.
Yeah.
Okay? So
we're supporting you in writing a poem.
This is a safe space. You can do it.
Exactly.
Great.
Cool. Okay, so that leaves us with our Yang Gang Poets, hashtag Yang Gang Poets. I mean, we're all Yang Gang Poets, but you guys are our special ones of the week. So, Karina, would you like to go first?
Yeah. So,
also, can you then also read both yours and your dad's?
Yep, that's what I was going to do. I was going to read one of mine and then one of my dad's.
Ah, great.
I'll explain like the backstory there. Let me read his first, actually.
Okay.
So I want to explain this because this is pretty amazing, and I think you all will enjoy this. But so initially, like a month ago, I think Meghin read 3 of my poems on story time. And so, like, I told my dad about it. I thought it was really cool, and I sent him the video to watch. And like, of course, he was like, "Oh, that's so great! Like, how neat!" And then I told him that you'd asked me to do the takeover days. So that's kind of how he got introduced to like what was going on. But it inspired him to write a poem for the first time in 47 years.
That's crazy.
And the one I'm going to read isn't the one that was posted, but the one I posted was the first one he wrote ever in English because my dad's from Peru. So Spanish is his native language. But
I'm trying so hard not to cry right now.
I know, so sweet. And then the in his language thing, like that even more so. I'm just like, I want to hear one in his language too.
Yeah. And he said it was challenging to write an English one. Anyways, but it was neat. It was very cool. And he sent it to me, and he's written like 5 or 6 since then. And we're actually talking about putting out a collaborative poetry book, which I'm like,
That'd be awesome.
to do that with their dad. Like, what a cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
That's
yeah.
amazing.
And he's very talented. So I'm going to share one with you now. Okay. So this one is one of the ones he's written since then, and it's called Solace. As I search in the crowd for you and my friend, you will find me in a room far away from myself. Detached from my head, I don't hear the noise from the souls passing by or the music that comes and goes in the night. When it is raining outside with the still of the air, of fresh essence and life, my eyes now shut can see the bright light from the other side, and I feel the morning, but I cannot cry.
Well, I can cry.
We can cry, right? Can we cry? We're crying.
So, I don't know. I think maybe it's just, maybe, you know, he's my dad, so of course I love it, but I just, to go 47 years and not write poetry and not write it.
Write that.
Oh, I just got like full body chills.
Yeah.
I literally just like shivered. I was like, oh.
And I'm not the best at reading poetry out loud. Like, I know that. So I think someone else could do it better justice. But I just, everyone say, like, give my dad major support because he's done it.
Snaps in the comments, please. Yeah. Great.
All right.
It was just beautiful. Just beautiful. And I hope he writes more. And I hope you do that thing. And as much as he would like to have an audience within the Yang Gang, like, we're here to support and
definitely
praise his poetry.
I'm sure he will keep sending me more. So maybe occasionally I can share.
Yeah, we would love that.
Do you want me to read mine next, or do you want Paul to read one and then we kind of go back and forth?
You can go ahead.
Okay. So for me, I really was indecisive. Like, I couldn't decide what I wanted to read, and I still feel like I'm not 100% sure. So I'm just going to pick one. So since we've talked about the golden shovel, I'll read the one that I wrote for that challenge.
Cool.
So first I'll read the lines that I took from T.S. Eliot. Lilacs out of the dead land mixing, memory and desire stirring. Okay, and this is what I came up with. I can still see the unfettered lilacs, duress inviting them in, love nudging them out. Surviving winter is what they dreamt of, devoid of self, identifying only as thee. The chill of your neglect, a spell for the dead, their beauty replaced by barren land, tears and regret mixing. All I am left with is memory. It calls to me with a longing unattached to an and, for there is no end to this desire, for whispered hello, always stirring. Your whispered hello, always stirring. So that was what I could.
That's really good.
Lovely. Yeah.
Karina, I feel like your poetry calms me. Like, every time I like read a poem by you, or like you know, when you would read one of yours or share it, I don't know. It's like, I guess because like the imagery that you use, like, even if it's, I don't know, I just always feel calm. I feel like you just have this way of words that just really makes me happy. Like,
Thank you.
I don't know. I'm having a hard time like putting it into words, but like it makes me like walk away with a really like nice feeling, just because I see so much of like you in your poetry, and I just feel like so honored every time to like have that glimpse into like you as a person, and I just feel like that's a really cool experience.
Thank you. That's a huge compliment, really. Like, to translate. I mean, I think when you write, like, part of yourself kind of gets embedded in the words and in the way you string them together. So the fact that you like me and my poetry is a huge compliment.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I totally agree. I think, I don't know, like, I guess that's one thing I meant to ask you is, like, how long have you been posting your poetry online?
That's a great question.
So that started on Twitter just recently, but on Instagram, When did I start doing that? When I moved back from Seattle. So like 2 years. 2 years.
Okay.
Maybe. But it just was a little bit at a time. And then in the past year, I think more so.
Yeah.
And
so
I
I just feel like you could.
Oh, go ahead.
I was gonna say, I feel like you could have like a big audience on Twitter. Like, I feel like not on Twitter, but on Instagram, because of Instagram poets is such a thing, and I would just love to see you take off on there, because I just feel like people would love your work. And I love that it's got so much, because you do tend to write some not either small to like maybe kind of medium poems from what I've read of yours, maybe because you're more so posting online, and so it's just great for that format, and I just feel like it's perfect for that, because it's like the perfect kind of poetry where you can feel something, but you always make your reader think, and you treat each line with such care. And I think that there's probably a lot of people out there who would just love your poetry. So I just hope that you keep posting more and you don't stop.
I will. Definitely. Thank you.
Yeah. Great.
Well, they basically set it off, Karina. They stole everything I was gonna say. But no, I do also enjoy, like, Karina, I think with a lot of your stuff that it just gets at like this deeper, I don't know, like there's this depth, there's like this there's a spiritual element to so much of your writing, and that's just really like it comes across even in some writing that seems about a more mundane subject. There's always like a deeper, I don't know, spiritual level or something to it, and I really enjoy that in your poetry.
No, I think I think it's not intentional, but I see that too come out a lot when I write, and I think poetry for me is kind of that spiritual experience. Like I kind of connect with deeper, I don't know how to explain it. Those deep questions you think about kind of find their way into my writing.
Yeah, no, it's great.
Thank you, Paul. And thank you, Paul, for retweeting so many of the things.
No, I mean, I love that. Like, I mean, it's just really exciting to see everybody posting so much poetry and stuff. And like, I don't know, we probably won't have that much time. I don't know when we'll end it or whatever to get onto it. But I mean, I think what's really exciting about this is like the Yang Gang Book Club makes so much sense in like the Yang philosophy and humanity forward, because as we move into the fourth industrial revolution and stuff like that, I think we're going to see a new renaissance of artistic expression as long as we put humanity forward. And so I feel like the Yang Gang Book Club is kind of ahead of the curve, prepping people. So everybody get onto your poetry, because what's coming is going to be a renaissance of the arts. I really think so.
Ooh, hold that.
And we can talk a little bit about that more.
Yeah,
hold that thought. We'll
hey,
in a second.
I'm getting a little bit ahead of myself. I don't know.
Yeah. So I'll take this down. Thank you, Chaz. Oh, I just put. Okay. Every time I click on one, this is just a new thing. Apparently, someone else pops in, so I click on someone else's. That's just a thing. Apparently, I'd like to say. Okay. Paul, would you please close us out for this portion of the video with your poem?
Yeah, so I'll be reading the first poem I submitted. It's called Modern Islands. The turbine engine's on fire, so we thought it time to bail, with an email correspondence and a shoot too gold to fail. He leapt into the suburbs, surfing all the way, with a $1 million mortgage and a determination to stay. He built his picket fences, he mowed his Browning lawn, too preoccupied to notice that his family was long gone. They'd haunt the halls unnoticed, while he built his fortune wide, with no care became malnourished, until the love between had died. Now he waves out to the neighbors, a smoke signal of a sort, but they're too busy building fortunes to give a small retort. Aged on his porch chair, bitter and alone, he curses the world with anger as he slowly fades to stone.
I love it.
I love that one.
There's so much depth in that one.
What's that?
There's so much depth to his story, and like it could be a book. I feel like there's like a book in there.
Yeah. I love when people kind of fit a short story into a poem format. like, because I think what people don't realize is that you have to pack that story into a few lines that fit into that format. And like, I visualize every line of that, and it was really cool.
Yeah. It's like an epic.
Yeah.
You know, yeah, I love the storytelling element in a poem. I love that. It's not something that I end up doing, I feel, but I should try it because I really like it when people do it. And yeah, and yours has that kind of, it's like, yeah, tongue in cheek, I guess, you know, like it's like I guess maybe like dark comedy or something, you know, where it's that kind of some contrasting vibes.
I can see too, it kind of reminds me of like a song in a way too, which I know you said like music inspires you. Yeah. It reminds me, I feel like that's a theme in some songs in like certain genres. So it kind of made me think of a song almost immediately, and it's gone now because my thoughts go so fast, but like it did. Sure. And I was kind of like, oh, that's really cool, because you did say that music was one of the things that inspired you. So it's kind of cool that your poetry, like that poem in particular, reminded me of like a song that I'd heard. So I was like, oh, that's really cool, because like obviously that shines through.
Yeah.
Oh, thanks guys. That's sweet.
And great job with the rhyme. Great job with the rhyme.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
I love that you made the comment.
I don't rhyme a lot in my poetry, but that one did.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. It was nice for us, I think, because since we've been reading your poetry for a little while now, to see you to stretch your wings, do something a little different, and you nailed it. I loved it.
I think, well, from what I've read, your poetry has deeper meaning too. Like a lot of the pieces that you get across. And I love it. It draws me in and it makes me want to read more. So thank you.
Yeah.
Great. So we've kind of, thank you, poets, before we close out. Thank you.
Big snaps all around.
To you two, Megan, all of you in the chat, all of you watching this who did it. And please, if you are interested, follow, just a little plug, follow YG Book Club at YG Book Club if you would like to participate in the future. And I also think that we can, even though we're thinking of doing the weekly thing, I think we can, at a future point, actually bring back Universal Basic Poetry, post a poem challenge, and do another week. Because it's like, that's that special experience you get where you're like, wake up every morning and have a prompt of the day if you so choose to follow it. And that I would love to do that again. So let us know if you guys would like to do it, but I think we will. Regardless, Paul had the gall to impress us.
That's
Chaz, come on! You know you can write. You just did.
Chaz, in your case, I think you're a poet, and you also know it. You know, so just do it, man.
Just do it. Don't think, just write. Okay. Yes. So, I thought we might a fun thing to put a cap on the events of today is we've kind of already discussed this. Is what do you guys think about being the Yang Gang Book Club, doing poetry? Like the Yang Gang Book Club is notoriously more widely just known for caring about things like automation and caring about the economy in regards to poverty and trying to get UBI passed. And I think a great quote from The War on Normal People by Andrew Yang is, correct me if I hope I get this right, but the future is here, it's just wrongly distributed or something like that. I know Ellers knows that quote because he said it last time I talked to him. Something like that. And technology in general. So yeah, maybe Paul, could you reiterate your comment you were saying earlier, and we can use that as a launching pad? Sorry if you can hear the train.
Yeah, no, I just think that with a humanity forward movement that Yang is leading, I think the arts and the human expression, when people are valued as more than workers, we can really become more than just workers. And I think that we're going to see a renaissance of the arts as UBI's picked up as a lot of these policies that Yang and people in the UBI movement are pushing for will, I think, create a really exciting time of the arts exploding and self-expression and human expression kind of really being taken to a new level.
Yeah, I mean, I really hope so too. And I think part of that goes into, you know, with the fourth industrial revolution and more things being automated, is that education is going to have to change too. You know what I mean? Like it's going to have to. And I think part of that should be like people advocating, you know, for more creativity in schools. You know, like I just feel like we're taught to be technical. You know, like we learn grammar. I'm just relating this to you know, writing in particular. But you know, we're taught grammar, but we're not necessarily always taught like creative expression within writing. You know, we're taught all the technicalities of everything without being taught then how to throw that out the window and just write. You know what I mean? Like,
right.
And I think it would be good if education, yes, Ellers, humanities first. T-shirt. It's going to be a T-shirt.
It's coming, guys.
Yes. But yeah, I think that's a big part of it. And Kateri and I talk about that like all the time. About, you know, teaching kids how to just like create, and then that creative kids turn into creative adults. So yeah.
Yeah, I think just to piggyback back off that, like some of the stuff, I know Megan's smiling at the comments.
Yeah, they're writing a poem in the comments.
Okay. I guess we can't discredit Chaz because he's doing it. He's literally doing it right now. Okay, thanks, Chaz.
Guys, I have ADHD. You can't do this to me. We already hit the 1.5 hour mark. That's when my attention is already like.
I know, right. And now we're trying to get in this deep conversation.
Yeah.
I don't know if you guys ever noticed, but on all of our live streams, at about the 1.5 hour mark, I do start to get this glazed look on my face.
I feel it right now too. It's not just.
Yeah.
So yeah, just my comment on that is just for me, like kind of what I've learned from creative writing or the creative process in general is that creativity, I think, is a skill, and where it's both a talent and a skill. And I think that just is the true of all talents too. But I think people can the system creates the system is in like the education system and like pop culture and all sorts of things, just like they make people think that they're not creative, you know, like we're all creative to a certain extent. Some people are more creative than other people, but if you know, we can all learn to be more creative, you know, and like, and I think we hit on this either before the stream started or not, but you know, like, creative energy is like such a real thing. And like, I consider myself to be a really creative person, but when you have to work so much to survive, it's really hard to have creative energy. And then to me, then that actually can result in some like kind of sadness. I don't want to say like depression, but you know, like feeling down and feeling guilty and like not good feelings about yourself as a person, because you feel like, oh, like I'm working so much, but that thing that I feel identifies me and like it's a part of my like soul is like I can't do it, you know, like even if you technically have time, because you gotta always technically have time, but you're like, I'd rather sleep or I'd rather just scroll through Pinterest,
watch TV,
watch Netflix and chill instead, you know, because you're like, I just need to I can't do that thing, that creative thing, because the creative process is work. It's not just like, and that was kind of my hope too, that some people who did it maybe kind of had that realization. So and I agree with you, Paul, about the Renaissance thing. In fact, that's a hashtag that I literally had thought of trying to like do at some point. Like, what's your UBI Renaissance look like, or how do you contribute to that? When was the last time we had a Renaissance? You know, we had the
I think it was right after a plague.
But the biggest one that we know about, it was the one that like came after a plague. So
hey, we're right on mark, guys. It's gonna happen.
We got this, you
it's
guys.
Really coming. look at the history.
Forget about
Karina, did you have
flattening
any
the
thoughts
curve. We're
about?
ahead of it.
Yeah, I do.
I know you had some thoughts.
So it ties in with what Paul said about Renaissance, and also kind of ties into your poem, Kateri, that we read earlier.
Cool.
When I think about automation, I think it's possible because of technological advances. And then when you want to talk about poetry and how can poetry be a role in this transition, really, which we're already in. Both technological advances and poetry, or all forms of art, they're born from creativity. Both of them. So I think when I think about that, I think about this kind of duality within ourselves, where we want to explore the world around us, but we also need to express the world within us. And that's where the arts kind of give us that energy and that fuel to do so. And that feeds us, that feeds our connectedness to one another to be able to express ourselves. Because in a way we feel validated when other people see us. So I think that's where, and I feel like with the Renaissance thing, I think not only is that going to happen in this automation world, but it needs to. Like you need that balance. If you're going to be technologically savvy, you also have to really put an emphasis on the value of the arts.
Absolutely.
Yeah, Karina, like, I think we saw like the age of information and the age of automation has sped up development of all of these things that we create. And what it's going to do is it's going to free us up to then pursue all of these arts and things, the things that drive culture forward. And I think we're going to see culture just explode because, like, changes to the empires, to society as a whole, always came with the arts. The arts have always challenged our understanding of who we are and our expressions. And I think when we're freed up to do that more, it's just going to create like a speed up of culture that I think will be really quite cool.
Yeah, and on that note, I think what's interesting is up until very recently, like art has, within the last, say, like since the Industrial Revolution, like if for English major people, you learn about the different eras and stuff like that. So you learn about how right around the Industrial Revolution, we actually get the first sort of like what they consider like massive, like layman's art in that way. I mean, like it existed before, of course, but it became more of the norm. It became like that became the hip thing. It wasn't it was like, they kind of rejected to a certain extent the elitism. And that's kind of my point is like elitism has been a huge factor in the creation of art up until as far as the whole timeline, very recently. So if we actually do get this, well, it's coming, right? So especially if we can actually get the UBI and do it right, and we can have a basically everybody be able to create art. Poetry is just, poetry and things like it are going to be huge. Like it's going, like something's going to come out of it. I will also say, I kind of know, or I know someone who knows someone who works with Elon Musk. And one of these people's or like the relationship there is that they're musicians. So the guy who knows Elon Musk was saying that he works for Tesla. So that's what it is, actually, more so. He works for Tesla, and he was talking about he sent him an article saying, like, creativity is really going to be one of those defining skills that even just in the job market, is actually going to be important. And so I just find that so interesting because the system right now is not set up.
No.
It's like there's been this, like, if you read like The War on Normal People, we talked about that on our last live stream. We talk about how Andrew talks about how the education system has changed from what we're trying to get it to be, again, of where it was like learning to learn versus like, oh, like you're going to be this lawyer and you're going to be this doctor and you're going to be this tech person. And it's moved away from the humanities. And according to, what my friend of a friend of a friend or whatever said, like that actually could very well change back to that. And where schools are like, that's going to be a new thing that we value again. So So yeah, we are ahead of the curve. And then on that note, this is kind of interesting. Speaking of Elon Musk, I was actually not related, but I was watching, he did Joe Rogan just recently. And he was talking, he's working on this thing that it's like Neuralink. It's like a brain chip that you put in, that goes into your brain. It's like, if you don't know about it, Google it. I'm not going to try to explain it because I probably will ruin it. But they were talking about all the different possibilities, and there's lots of possibilities for like brain research and like actually like giving people vision back and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. But then they got into like further, as the technology develops, and Joe Rogan was like, you're going to like erase the need for speech, aren't you? Like people are going to be able to communicate without speech. And I was just, that tripped me up. I was like, whoa, that's creepy, A. And B, it like literally immediately made me think about poetry. Because like Meghin was saying, like, there's something special about speaking poetry aloud. And I just thought, oh, that's so interesting. So I don't know if you guys had any thoughts on that.
Yeah, no, Kateri texted me and she was like, yeah, Elon Musk has this thing. And I immediately was like, nope, no, thank you. And then I told my husband, I was like, my immediate like gut reaction to this is no. And he was like, well, what about people who can't speak? Like, would it help them or something like that? And I was like, I mean, I guess. And like, yes, but also I'm just kind of like, but people like contact, like what Karina was saying, like people like to be seen, people like to be heard. There's something about talking to somebody. I mean, there's a reason people like our live streams, you know what I mean? For example, it's because we're all talking to each other at a time where we can't talk to each other in person because of what's going on. And what are people doing? I mean, Zoom was like crashing towards the beginning of this, people literally have created apps for people to be able to talk to each other, face to face, and so speech is just like so important to like bring us together. And that's without even getting into the creativity part of it. You know what I mean? That's not even getting into, speaking poetry aloud and stuff like that. So my immediate response was just like,
I think about memory, like how memory is tied to speech and how would that change? There's some like,
yeah,
I mentioned my father-in-law, like we got a lot of the books from him, but a lot of my memories of him are things he said to me. And if we can't share those moments in that experience, how does that change the way we relate to one another, even in memory? I don't know.
Absolutely.
Here comes Chaz again.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah, I think, like there's just no way to know, like it's not in our lifetime anyway. Who knows? Maybe. Well, Elon seems to think it will be, but
he thinks a lot of himself.
I think though, like if you just look at human beings though, like what do we value? Like we value like authentically made stuff, like stuff that, like the stuff that's the most expensive nowadays. Like if you buy like a belt at Target, it's like $10 or $20 or something like that, just a belt you wear around you. But you go to somebody who's like a leather worker, right? Because there's not like a whole bunch of people who are making like actual belts these days, and you can pay like hundreds of dollars for these handmade artisan like belts, right? Yeah. And so like, yeah, I mean, one day there's going to be computers that's writing really great poetry, but the problem is going to be is that computer is not a person, and we always crave that human experience, that human expression, and that's, I think, no matter what, that's always going to be valued. And I think language is the same way. Like, yeah, we might one day be able to communicate without language, but will we really want to? And will we really want like a poem like downloaded into my mind versus holding a page? Like we have Kindles, but I still love holding a book and like smelling the pages of a book. Like,
yeah. It even took me forever to get into audiobooks. Like, I didn't even necessarily love that. There's just, like you said, it's just kind of like there's something special about it.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think that's a really interesting point, Paul. And it could just mean that maybe that in that future world, actually, it's such a hopeful thought to think like all it really means is that people just value poetry more. Like,
yeah, hopefully, yeah.
Yeah. Maybe not everybody, but that's still still a thing. Hopefully everybody though. Hopefully it works
Maybe
out
our future language
way.
will be poetry.
Ooh.
Yeah. Well, they were talking about a future universal language that would allow that to, like, I think, be fast tracked is basically the idea.
Sure.
Because it creates that system that can just do that for you.
That's a good Think Harder Thursday, by the way.
Yeah.
It's a good Think Harder Thursday.
So I guess that's a good segue. So Megan, do you want to like pull up some comments while I just do a little housekeeping before we close out with our final thing?
Yes.
So
most of the comments are just the little poem that they're writing. It's funny.
Okay.
I'm loving it.
Yeah.
Maybe we can just let that roll through or something so they can get their poem up there. So if you weren't here earlier, I'll just briefly say, like, yes, real books. We announced that we're doing a thing. We need a hashtag for the whole thing, but we are bringing back universal basic poetry and writing in general. Hashtag on Wednesday we write. It might have to be at Wednesday we write because I feel like that's
I think so
easier
too.
to remember.
I think hashtag Wednesdays we write is fine. Yeah.
And then if you get the reference, you're really cool. So anyway, hashtag Wednesday we write. And so every Wednesday will be a writing prompt of some sort. We will either do hashtag universal basic poetry, and you'll have a prompt for that, or we will do we will post like a picture or something else that's going to stimulate your creativity. Obviously the prompts still are optional, but do that and then do a check-in, hashtag Wednesday rewrite, show your poem, show a piece of your writing in general. And then we will read it also in the live stream. I guess we'll have to like double check that they want it to be read, but that's kind of the overall thing. And we will bring back universal basic poetry as a week thing at some point. But we need a hashtag for the whole thing. So far we've had, I think, Yang Gang Poets, Yang Gang Pen.
Yang Gang Pens.
Pens? I like pens. Yeah, that makes it work. Okay, got it. Another thing is, I just had something on my mind that I forgot. What were we just talking about?
Thursday Thoughts.
That was it, yeah.
Think Harder Thursday, sorry.
Yeah, it was Thursday Thoughts. Yeah. No one probably really notices, but we were doing Thursday Thoughts. We've changed it to Think Harder Thursday. So if you have an idea for a Think Harder Thursday, the idea is to get a discussion going in the comment section about, the Yang Gang is trying to rewrite the rules of the 21st century. So, and also keeping the humanities in mind, all of those things. Let us know if you have a prompt for that, but look out for Think Harder Thursday. And then I think the only other thing I can think of is we have another live stream. It's not officially scheduled, but I'll schedule it now that this is over. And this month is themed neurodiversity. So we are going to be having some people come on to talk about this topic in different elements and in different ways. Turns out one of my best friends is a doctor and does outpatient care with many different people and works with a huge range of neurodiversity patients. And so she agreed. And also she just wrote a book that she is going to be trying to get published. So honestly, it's like she's the fact that we're best friends is almost irrelevant. I think it's going to be great. So that is scheduled for, May 11th on Monday. Let me double check. I'm going to have that right. Yes, May 11th at 3 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, 6 p.m., right? 6 p.m.
And I will disclaim that since I'm moving, I don't have Wi-Fi. I will probably not be on that live stream with Kateri, but I will be on the next one. But I just want to let you guys know. Yeah. Just want to let you know. We wanted me to be there. We tried to make it work, but it's just not going to work for me to be on this one. But I'm still part of the book club. Don't forget about me.
You'll be there in spirit.
Yeah, no kidding. Moving during
COVID. Paul, it's a mess.
Yeah.
Kudos to you for getting it done. Okay, so I think that's it. So we do have one more poem to read. We had a very special poet. I don't know if he's still here.
He is.
Or two poets.
Yes, he did message me during the live stream. and was like, "Are you?" I was like, "Yes, don't worry. It's very special. We got this."
Yeah. I guess the last one thing I want to remind everyone is please check out all these poems that we read today will be read on our Twitter page. It's just, Meghin's moving. We're trying to do it in a nice way, so we're going to be recording them and posting the videos. And this one will be also one of them. You'll see. So this was by Manny, and what was his last name? Manny
Ortega.
Mm-hmm. And the Twitter handle Me Versus Normal, and they contributed on this Yang Gang anthem. I'm going to read the first half, which is by Me Versus Normal, and then Meghin is going to read the second half, which is by Manny Ortega. This is Fight Don't Flight. Here we go. I was sitting at work, just shooting the shit, when I first saw Trump was running for president. Laughing, I said, fuck it, I'll vote for him. Never had I cared about politics. Not long after, I started to care. I was paying attention and somewhat aware. My conscience ate at me. I have kids, I should care. What did it matter? I don't have a choice, not taking seriously that I had a voice. Clinton's not it, Trump is a joke. There's gotta be someone who can earn my vote. Dr. Jill Stein, now she gives a shit. I want a clean earth because, well, I have kids. They were the reason why I voted. I brought my kids with me, so proud of my choice, explaining to them how they could use their voice. By speaking up and voting, of course. It was third shift. I knew Stein wouldn't win. Of course, this is fixed. It's fucking politics. It'll be Clinton. Then next thing I knew, Trump was in. Skip forward a few years and you'll find me there, a proud resistor because Trumpers don't care. I was talking and none of them listened. Then it hit me. I need to listen. I did and we talked. Now I know what they want. But the lights went out. I was alone in the dark. I needed to get my own self out. I did. It was awesome. The US will be okay. The only way to fix this is the Yang Gang way. The relief was so surreal that I helped steer the wheel. Then once again, the light went out. The obvious answer again was shut down. Yang Gang was endgame. Why so much doubt?
Amidst this time of fear and doubt, this is no time to bow out. Now is the time for Yang Gang to rise and fight for UBI with all our might. Time to read, study, and advocate, for we'll be put up to the test to legislation for it is enacted into law and we can finally rest. And so it's time to use our voice to let the world know that we made our choice. We, the Yang Gang, will assemble and make our stand. Let us come together now to heal our land. With the same effort, same energy, and same dedication to bind up wounds and heal our nation. Though embattled we are, let us move toward the vision that Lincoln and Yang brought forward. Hear Lincoln speak, his words still enthrall, with malice toward none, with charity for all. Let us strive on to finish the work we are in. Time to move humanity forward, time to begin. As we hear these words resounding through time, the torch is in your hands as well as mine. As JFK said at his inauguration, the torch has been passed to a new generation, and the glow from that fire can truly light the world. Move humanity forward, our movement now unfurled. As we march for our lives, we give our battle cry for those who are pleading for relief and UBI. To those who are in need, let us lend a helping hand to all human beings who abide in our land. Move humanity forward, yes, it must be, for all of humanity yearning to breathe free.
Annie, that was great. That was really good.
Yeah. So for a little context, this was a very Twitter-born passion project between me versus normal and Manny Ortega, and Manny is a huge supporter of the book club, and we just loved. We literally got to watch you guys write this poem together, and it was so cool. It was so special. I will never forget it. And stay tuned for your special video coming out. It's gonna be epic.
It is. So
cool.
Yeah.
All right.
That's everything, guys. Thank you guys for stopping by.
Yeah.
Thank you, Karina.
Thank you, Manny. Thank you, Paul. Thank you, Karina. Thanks, everyone. This is an epic 2. Oh wait, we're just about to hit 2 hours. 2
We'll
hours.
talk for 5 more seconds.
I don't think we've done one this long. So thanks for hanging in there. You guys are champions, poetry champions of the Yang Gang. And stay tuned for Wednesday We Write.
Yes.
I'll be there.
All right, guys.
All right.
YGBC.
Thanks, Yang Gang.
Out.
Yeah, wait. Here's the Yang Gang.
Guys.
Yang Gang.
I can't